You're listening to the Business Mindset by RSC podcast. Episode 3 is about common myths, such as business is hard, and that if you do what you love, the money will come.
Hello and welcome to Business Mindset brought to you by RSC. RSC Business Group is a group of global businesses, coaches, and consultants that operate independently but share in the same vision, mission, and methodology. Today we have the founder of RSC Business Group, Robert Chun, Brandon Ling, the founder of RSC Business Group Alpha, and myself, the founder of RSC Business Group Sales. We don't just consult and coach businesses. We are building businesses ourselves. We believe that having the fundamentals of being able to replace and scale a business is key in being able to control your income, freedom, succession, and sale of any business you build. And we're on the third episode of our 8-part series about business myths. Today's business myth is the false social constructs of business. And a social construct could be that you have to work like a dog, you won't have a life, it's very hard, you can't have fun, you're going to be poor, you have to be incredibly disciplined, you have to change yourself, or if you do what you love, the money will come later. So you got to pick and choose. So these are some of the social constructs, and we see things differently, don't we?
A bit.
A little bit, yeah.
So, Rita, what would you like us to talk about first? It's 5 different constructs so far. So.
Yes. Let's talk about what a social construct is. Like, just quickly, let's put ourselves on the map.
All right. Social construct is agreement-based reality built by a group of people. So, for example, in the old days, people used to say that if you take a dying child and put them in the fire and offer it to gods, then you'll have a good crop yield. And you got thousands of people believing in them such a way that every year they sacrifice kids to the gods. Or social construct is that if you do a certain type of dance, you hit the sound on the ground a certain way, then the rain will come. Now, social constructs are used to make people feel better. And they want to express they did something about it. But unless there's some sort of understanding or science, it doesn't work really well. Social construct, for example, is governments are supposed to be a particular way, or people are supposed to be a particular way. When you're born, you go to hospitals, you go to school, you get a job. These are all conventional understanding agreements amongst people. And a lot of it exists without any verbal cues because it's just the way everybody does. So whoever are born into that structure does that. Mm-hmm. So if you're born into, say, a culture where you're paranoid that somebody's going to hurt you, let's just say your father is mafia and your mom is a nurse, then you find yourself being afraid of people, not talking to people, withdrawing from people, which causes other people to distrust you, and other people coming after you. So a lot of social constructs are designed to be self-affirming. Mm-hmm. And when you're in a bubble, that's the reality for you not because it's the right thing, but it's just the bubble that you happen to choose or participate or cause. Mm-hmm. If you're Buddhist, for example, your social construct is you go to a Buddhist temple, you give alms, or if you're a Christian, you go to churches, and if you believe in Santa Claus, you give gifts. But they all serve different function. Like in the coldest of winter, how do you have population feel warm? You create gift of giving, birth of Christ. You talk Santa Claus. Those are social constructs. and they serve a function in society. I'm not here to argue for real or not real, but it exists because it serves function. Like St. Patrick's Day. Why you wear green or why do you get pinched? Well, it's social, it's fun, or Independence Day. Why do you eat certain food at a baseball game, for example? Those are all social constructs designed to keep human beings happy, entertained, or educated and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say that most of us live in social construct without knowing about it because, for example, school is a social construct, job is a social construct, even marriage itself is a social construct to maintain assets and take care of kids. Taxes. So social construct is something that you and I are living inside of, and we think that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it requires probably repetition. You've heard it more than once. You've heard people say it. It requires agreement. So people have said it, and there was agreement. So you heard it. Then you probably got some evidence for it, right?
Physical structure, usually.
Right. And so you could have more evidence against it, but because you heard something, then you saw the evidence, you're more likely to lean to what you heard in that repetitive sense. So that's kind of how they can be born. They require multiple people to uphold these agreements.
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily true. I think that's the key, right? The thing is, business can be hard. You could build it in a way that is very challenging for you to run it, where you're poor. You could build it that way, and you could fulfill that prophecy, but it's not necessarily so.
The interesting is
Right.
that they start
Business
to
runs on
become true
momentum.
over time if people
Yeah.
buy into it. So I remember years ago I visited a country and people didn't really have a concept of retirement at that point. Yeah, people got older. Okay, so they slow down, they work less, but they still work until they die, or they serve some sort of function, unless they're unable to. And then several years later, more than several years later, but either way, years later, when I went back, there were all these billboards promoting retirement plans, retire by this age. So at some point, that was a society where there was no social construct for retirement. Their social construct was something else. And then someone or some people or some businesses or groups started introducing the idea of retirement, that, hey, you can save some money and then at some point just stop working, or at least stop working for a living. And then people started working towards that. So retirement was introduced, and then retirement became a reality for some people.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, it's very powerful. So I think part of my work with clients is actually identifying their social constructs, almost like contracts that they've made.
It is social contract.
Right? It's like a social contract that you signed and you almost didn't know you signed.
No, you didn't sign. You just were born into it.
Yes. But it has that feeling like you put your signature on there. And it's kind of asking those questions, and sometimes there's a resistance because it's supposed to be a certain way, and even countering, and I don't know if I'm using the right words, that social construct can be a little bit challenging because it can be met with resistance.
Well, because there's nothing else beyond the social contract. There's emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say this is a construct, they will say, yeah, but it gives me survival in life.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to offer me? I don't know. I'm just letting it as a social contract. It's a threat because you're not offering a better alternative.
Yes.
It's better to say you're social contract 34. You may want to consider social contract 36. Then they will change to 36.
Yes, but you still have to do it step by step to show them how to do concept 36, and it won't be something that's very real. Like construct 34 is going to be very real for them.
Well, if they're living in 34, but
Yeah.
if they're living in 36, 36 is real for them, right? And
Yes.
people are fight for their freedom to be in a particular contract.
Mm-hmm.
So
Doesn't say that.
socialism, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's you see a thing you and I think it serves and not serves them. It serves them because they are using it.
Mm-hmm.
Their survival is getting handled. We have our judgments because we seem to live better or we have better advantage. We want that to be for other people like all artists do. But the reality is, unless they want to buy into a different agreement, they won't.
No. Yeah.
So our job is to enroll them into a free possibility of building a business without suffering and pain. But
So
if they're into suffering and pain, best you can just give them the right dosage of
what
suffering and pain.
what is a better construct than work like a dog?
Work as required.
Very nice.
Yeah, because business is a momentum design. It's not linear design. So when you reach a certain target, it shifts. Most people. So if you go to Las Vegas and you play a lot of slots, and there's this young guy that comes along and puts a quarter in, he wins a jackpot, right?
Mm-hmm.
His reality is that quarter gave him $10,000. But his reality is based upon all these other people losing 50 cents here, a dollar here, $2 here, right? The machine doesn't care. It just cares if we reach a certain number for it to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even though parts of our business model is transactional, linear, business system as a whole runs as a momentum or target based. So unless you reach the target, no matter how hard you do, unless you reach that number, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So one of the things you have to face is that what people want to do is they want to reach the target faster than somebody else, so they work like a dog.
Mm-hmm.
But structure itself doesn't care whether you work like a dog or not. It all cares is that certain outcome is produced.
Mm-hmm.
So as you make more money, you get more greedy, or you get more have more expenses. You work quote unquote like a dog because you want that result.
Mm-hmm.
So we, as outsiders, we like to go, well, I want them to be like a little hamster in a wheel, but maybe they're a happy hamster. Why take away their hamsterness, right?
Yeah, if they want to work like a dog and if it makes them happy, that's, but it's the social construct is that that's not required for businesses to work like a dog.
No, business, all it does is keeps promises.
Mm-hmm.
How it is kept, why it is kept, it doesn't care. Because overall is about, is the promise kept, is the result done or not?
Mm-hmm.
And you get compensated or not get compensated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once we get to a place we don't have to work like a dog, we make that concept wrong. But for a lot of people, that's the concept.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can coax them into a different concept. Let's build systems and processes and employees. But then they have to let go that every dollar they make is theirs.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to pay for other people, which is hard for people to do when they first start their business. It's like, no, I rather work like a dog and keep 20 cents versus have a freedom and pay somebody 20 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the tough part.
Brandon, do you want to take a stab? You won't have a life.
Then I won't have a life?
Yeah, a better social construct that people can have that then you won't have a life.
Right. Right. And that goes along with the idea of like working like a dog and having no free time. And to be successful, all free time needs to go into the business. I mean, people can have that if they'd like, as with, Robert's mentioned. If that's a dosage of, I guess, suffering or pain or even just the lifestyle they want, they can have it. Really, I think, from my point of view, the benefit of businesses being able to, there are options, there's choice about the lifestyle. Because if I'm an employee, while I do get to choose what field I'm going to go into and which company I'm going to work for to some extent, and they get to choose whether they want to hire me or not. A bunch of my lifestyle is determined by the employer, right? I can't just get any salary I want. Can't just choose any hours I want, most likely, unless I may have some negotiation room, and maybe I have more latitude in the negotiation if I'm higher up in but most people aren't at the very top of a company. So, vacation days, salary, work hours are often determined by the employer, which then puts boundaries on the type of lifestyle I can have, right? Um, but with business, people can design their lifestyle. They have the opportunity to, whether they do or not. That partially depends on how aware they are or self-aware they are, right? And more self-aware, than they can choose the lifestyle that they actually want. Otherwise, they'll just probably follow existing social constructs or older patterns and do whatever they normally do, right? From before, like if I was raised to work like a dog and thought that that's the only way to succeed, and then I go from being an employee to, I'm going to start my own business. I'll probably design it to work like a dog, unless I become aware that, oh wait, I could choose something else.
Mm. Well said.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Dogs don't work.
That's true. You know what? There's a great question that you asked, Robert, that I think our listeners could ask for themselves is, what do you want your business to provide you? Right? Like, what is your business? What do you, because a business in itself is not a person. It's, if you let the business take all your time, it will. So, essentially, what kind of perks do you want your business to give you? And Robert, what kind of perks does your business give you, or your businesses?
They give me about 3 to 4 weeks vacation a year.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me 6-figure revenue I can spend on whatever I want. And I get to work with interesting people and do some outrageous, crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Bend all the rules without breaking them. And work with people all over the world and make a difference in the world and impact medicine, business development, and then people and organizations now. And don't have to directly be involved in large projects, but can nudge large, crazy projects along.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And my business gives me more and more people to play with ongoingly.
Mm-hmm.
And they call me and they want to play with me, and I talk to them and they pay me money. So it's really nice in that regards.
Brandon, what does your business give you?
Flexibility. Yeah, something that I wanted early on. Also, variety. When I was in university, I knew that I get bored easily, or can get bored easily. So I used to look for external things, oftentimes to keep my interest and try new things. So looking for novelty. So I wanted to have a career that would provide variety so I don't get bored. Now, along the way, I found out that, well, looking for external things will be a endless pit. I'll have to,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that there's something for me to do internally in terms of maintaining my interest in things rather than just looking for new experiences or novelty, or at least picking and choosing. So that becomes trying new food, going new places. That's where I get novelty. But what I do like about the work I do is I do get to work with a variety of different industries and businesses and people, which provides a certain amount of variety. Now, there are a lot of things that repeat, right? Sometimes problems are similar between different businesses. They may have different flavors. Um, and then also I can work from pretty much anywhere I want, as long as there's internet connection and phone service and have electricity for computer. So that's really nice. I have flexibility around hours, and which days I work and so on. So that's really neat.
Mm-hmm. I like the unique configurations I'm able to come up with, because it can be daunting and scary that there is no road that's paved, and that you could follow molds, right? There's some businesses that you follow a structure and you're going to make money and you follow that structure. But I like the road less traveled, and I'll take common concepts, but I'll tweak them a little bit based on feedback. So I love the idea of looking at the market and seeing what it needs and wants and tailoring things. So I think it's like a ability to flex my skills. Like it's a ability to utilize the skills that I have. And I've never really seen another medium quite like business to be able to do that. Quite as versatile. And, like when I hear things like you have to work hard or what's missing for me is, ease there, abundance, the knowledge that there is so much opportunity out there, creativity. What's missing there is possibly listening, requesting for help or forming partnerships, right? And building trust. I find that all of those social constructs, right? Because they can be just as powerful social constructs, are really missing in those sentences. And I really like what you said, Robert. It's just about how quickly you want to produce results, right? And sometimes you can still produce results very quickly and not work hard. But it's all a conversation.
Actually, it also requires other people.
Mm-hmm.
Most businesses are a single-person sport when business is really designed to be multiplayer sport, like a basketball, baseball, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons people work really hard is they think business is a single-person sport.
Mm-hmm.
So the misconception construct is nobody tells people, hey, this is baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks it's running. And as a result, they lose a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you're playing against 6 people and you're one and you decided to go into a basketball game, like no matter how well you train.
Right. So that's the joke of the business, because business is a team sport. And most small businesses operate a singular sport. And as a result, they keep losing. Mm-hmm. They don't know why, because they follow the rules. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to be 7 positions at once.
Exactly. No, it's such a great point because, I think we talked about it in the last episode too. So that is, so if your business is hard, there could be a valid reason, and it doesn't have to be that way. That's no.
And a lot of people are doing accounting when they should be doing sales, or they're doing sales when they should be doing fulfillment, or administration when they should be doing, tracking. So mm-hmm. You also got to be clear which position you're playing at the game board.
Mm-hmm. And form your business to work around your strengths, and not necessarily get upset about that you don't know or you're not very good at accounting. I'm not great at accounting. I don't think I'll ever be great at accounting. Accounting was one of the first things that I'm trying to replace. Like, hasta la vista. Bye-bye, no more accounting. And with that, hasta la vista, I think we're at time for this episode. So tune in for our 4th myth episode coming out very soon. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
The Business Mindset by RSC Podcasts is brought to you by Robert Chun at rscbusinessgroup.com, Aurelia Usita at rscsales.ca, and Brandon Ling at rscbga.com. Music by Davey Harris at daveyharris.com.